So you aren't getting where you want with music. Many of us dream of achieving fame and fortune, rising to the prestigious acclaim of our musical ancestors. For me, my definition of success has changed over the years, but I always knew that I wanted to make music for a living, and for a long time I was coming up well short of that goal. Today, I want to talk about the pivotal moments that set me on course and how you too can achieve what you desire. I've said it before on this channel, there are 3 different ways you find success as an artist. You do something that other people have done, but you do it better. You do something that no one else has ever done, or you get lucky. Oftentimes, it's a combination of the 3. For me, there was a period of time where I wanted to do what John Mayer did. I was and still am in love with his music, and his success was something that I wanted to emulate. I believe that when you want to achieve something that grand, you have to compare yourself to the highly successful. My competition wasn't my high school friends, it wasn't the local bands, it was the John Mayers of the world. I spent a lot of time listening and analyzing his music, trying to figure out what he was doing that I wasn't. I knew I wasn't at John's level, but I thought I was close. I applied to a music university in an attempt to upgrade my skill level, because hey, John Mayer went to Berkeley for a year, but I didn't get into my desired program my first year, and that was tough rejection. For so long, people had told me how good of a guitar player I was, but the people who offered that praise were my inner circle, my friends, my family, longtime instructors, etc., not the people who'd been exposed to that higher echelon of talent. So my first reaction when I wasn't accepted was, well, they must have screwed that up. They obviously can't see my true talent. Not a great attitude, but that's how I felt, as if a 21-year-old guitarist knew better than the best musicians in Canada. But I did end up getting into the prep program at that university that prepared musicians like myself for a better chance at getting into the degree. Quickly, I found out how good you really need to be. It was extremely humbling, but at the same time, it was also motivating, so I practiced like crazy. By accepting that the problem was within me, I was able to work to get to where I needed to be instead of blaming the world. A similar thing happened during my 3rd year of the degree. I was focusing more on the songwriting. I had realized that I was never going to sing at John Mayer's level, so I let that one go pretty quick. My guitar playing was progressing nicely, but I was really inspired by the writing side of things. I put together a little band and recorded an EP of the songs I'd written in my basement. It's available over at my 2nd channel if you want to check it out. I was taking a songwriting class where we would bring in our songs, we would listen to them, critique each other, and then the professor would chime in. The teacher was a well-known Canadian artist, Rick Emmett of Triumph fame, a band that crushed the 80s hair metal scene with songs like Lay It on the Line. Since then, he's gone on to have a long, prestigious songwriting career. Rick is someone I have the utmost respect for and was the first person I met who really did it in the music industry. In those classes, he was pretty harsh while also being respectful and constructive with his criticisms. When it was my turn to bring in a song, I brought in one of those tunes I'd recorded with that band. I thought it was great, and I thought that Uncle Rick was gonna think so too. Well, let me tell you, he did not. I was on the wrong side of a pretty cutting criticism, pointing out the things that I now see as major flaws in the song. Honestly, it hurt, but I needed that. My initial reaction was similar to when I didn't get into school. Well, he doesn't get it, I'm gonna prove him wrong when I win a Grammy with this song, or whatever. But when I got over that, I realized that he was 100% correct, and I devoted myself to actively improving my songwriting. A number of months went by, and it was my turn to bring in another song, so I brought in a tune called The Field of White. You can hear that one at my 2nd channel as well. After a year of really critiquing everything everyone brought in, Rick said to me, if you can write songs like that on a regular basis, you have a real shot at making it in this industry. It was validating, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life. And even though that song will probably never end up doing more than sitting over at my 2nd channel, it was a defining moment. Now, the reason I tell you this is because it took me being critiqued by honest and established musicians to get to the point where I am now. I wasn't succeeding before because I simply wasn't good enough. I wasn't doing what my contemporaries were doing, but better, and I definitely wasn't doing anything unique. Without that, I never would have been able to capitalize on any luck or opportunities that came my way. I suspect the same is probably true for you if you're not getting where you want to be with music. And that may suck to hear. I hated hearing it, but looking back, it was among the most important things anyone ever told me. So if you're not getting where you want with music, you need to find those people who you trust, who are established, that can give you those harsh criticisms. I went through a lot of that at school, but there are also things like demo critiques, songwriting circles, and here on YouTube, people are very quick to point out your flaws. Throughout my career, I've had so many people tell me what I wasn't doing good enough, and I'm grateful for that because I took that and did everything I could to change it. It's interesting the way we view ourselves in musical development. At first, we know nothing. Then we gradually get better and better, and we start thinking that we're pretty good, and at some point around there, we think we know everything. Only then do we know enough to know that we don't really know anything, and that's when the real work begins. So countless hours of practice later, breaking down the music of my favorite artists, investing myself entirely in projects that went nowhere, and I've just kind of reached an acceptance. I found my voice on the instrument and I'm okay with that. I could always get better, but I'm at peace with where I am now. I achieved one of my main goals, which was to be able to do music for a living. To get wherever you want to, the story will be the same. Let down your ego, face those hard questions, and do the work. I don't mean this video to be discouraging. I'm only one person, but this is what's worked for me. Hearing this kind of stuff was incredibly important, and I hope there are a handful of people out there who can be inspired by it as well. Thank you all for watching. I want to take a second to recommend a book that I often bring up when I make videos like these, Zen Guitar. It's a book about developing a healthy relationship with music, and it directly ties into a lot of the stuff I mentioned. Reading this set me on the path to where I am now. I'll put an Amazon link in the description. It's not pricey, consider checking it out. Thank you all again. I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I will see you next time.